Hello, my beautiful beings. How you all doing today? Well, I hope. So, today while I was in class, my instructor said something that really kind of like resonated with me. And only because, first of all, Spirit was getting on me about autonomy and how I deal with this thing as far as control, right? And autonomy as far as I always wanted to be right. I don't know. It's not that I always want to be right. I just know that what I say makes perfect sense. And so I would rather for people to understand what it is that I'm trying to say. But Spirit is asking me to make space for people to make their own choices, or to make their own decisions, right? And so today in class, my teacher was talking about, my instructor was talking about the way of life and the true nature of oneself is to go with the flow, right? Sometimes we like to hold on to certain things, and the true nature of yourself is to let go, right? Hey, it's to let go. Just go with the flow. And as he was saying this, somebody opened the door and it was a lot of noise going on. Like right now, y'all can hear there's a lot of noise going on in the background. But that's that's like the perfect scenario of what my instructor was saying. As far as like when distractions come, let the distractions happen because they're a part of the path, right? They're a part of the path that you're on. They're a part of the flow that you're in when it comes to releasing certain things. Don't resist the distractions. Pay attention to not pay attention to the distractions, but allow them to just flow, right? And see what they mean, okay? And I'm gonna get into that a little bit further. And so he gave an example of him being on a road and somebody being in road rage or just having road rage, and how. And another man kind of like chimed in. He was like, if me and you are going in the same direction, why does it matter if I'm getting in front of you? As long as we get to our destination safe, right? And so my instructor was like, exactly, right. If somebody cuts you off, or if somebody jump in front of you, and I'm not going to say cut you off, but if somebody jump in front of you in the path that you're on, do you want to go and you want to start beating that person up, or you want to start taking out your anger and frustration out on it? Because where is that coming from, right? And so he was like, no, you just let them do what they do. You let them go how they go. You let them flow how they flow in whichever way that they are doing it. And so I'm like, okay, I want to share that with Collective today. And so I'm coming, I got me some food. I got me a bottle of wine because I was going to have me a bottle of wine with my food today. And I get home, I'm about to set everything out, and I go to wash my hands. Lo and behold, the area has flooded, okay? And so I'm like, oh my gosh, a flood? And my mama was like, and first of all, last week when I was away, it was raining. And I was thinking like, oh my gosh, I hope there isn't a flood, right? While I'm away. And I come home and I tell my mom like, oh my gosh, the basement is flooding. And she come down, she was like, that is so crazy. I literally just seen a video on Facebook of somebody basement flooding. She was like, oh, glad that's not me. And she like, look at that. I was like, that's so funny. So I'm like, okay, what does a flood mean? So a flood, it says profound purification, intense emotional release, and necessary transformation. It represents a reset where stagnant energies, negative habits, or overwhelming emotions are washed away to allow for new beginnings, often symbolizing a transition from chaos to a higher state of consciousness. Okay? It says a flood signifies, you got spiritual transformation, Destruction of old worlds brings an opportunity for a higher life and marks the death of the ego or old life phase, allow spiritual growth. The need for spiritual grounding. A break in the lives of personal life often happening when inner stress forces a massive reevaluation of reality. And so that was interesting when I'm like, okay, well, let me look up what flood means. Not only that, today with that happening, my mama just showed me, like, there's just so many symbolisms of floods happening in my area. So I thought that was so interesting. And so it says emotional overload as well. It said a flood often represents being overwhelmed by feelings such as fear, grief, or anger that are repressed, suggesting a need to process and release these emotions. Now, that aligns with something that my instructor was saying, like the distractions, the things that come as far as the path that you're on, and the true nature of yourself, to just release it, right? When you feel those emotions of grief, when you feel those emotions of anger, when you feel those emotions of fear, it's natural. It's natural to fear those things. It lets you know that you are alive. It lets you know that you care, right? And so we can't look at fear and grief and anger as power of the enemy or power of the devil that he has over us unless we give that power away. We have to learn how to reclaim what anger means to us and why we are angry, right? When we don't understand the why of why we're angry, why we're grieving, why we are in fear, when we don't understand that why and connect to that why, that leaves something else to come in and hold power of that, over that. So I feel like that's that higher consciousness coming in. And so I really just wanted to like share that with y'all of what that was kind of like given to me. I know right now there's something that I personally need to let go. There's something that I need to like grieve, okay? I don't necessarily say that I feel like anger. I don't feel like resentment or anything. And it could possibly mean that. But I don't. Honestly, I feel so aligned with everything that's happening right now. I feel so at peace with the way that life is playing out, regardless of the distractions that's happening, right? Regardless of some of the things that are happening that is trying to pull my attention away from all of the glorious things that God is doing in my life. The things that I'm allowing, the things that I'm receptive to. Another thing that I want to tell y'all is I did a Friday the 13th energy read for Divine Feminine Energy. And what that reading came out to be was when you are receptive and allowing, it is not, Divine Feminine Energy is not all about creation, right? Think of God, generator, operator, destroyer. And so even in the midst of chaos is happening so that old foundation, it's like the tower moment, it's so that old beliefs, old foundations can be destroyed so that you can generate a new belief system around a new structure that you want to operate in life, right? And so that was coming to me as far as the chaos. I was literally just in a place of chaos. And again, these things come and go. These death and rebirths, these ego trips, the way that we think, the way that we connect to our thoughts on an emotional level, these things come and go as we go through the journey of life, as we walk our path into alignment and reconnecting and remembering the true nature of who we are. These things are going to happen. It's about you being allowing and you being receptive to what are these things trying to show you about yourself. What are the changes that you need to make within, right? So that you can truly embrace the transformation of being transformed. That was a big thing about last night. When I was speaking about beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? I did a little bit more research and it basically talked about spiritual transformation, and it was about the conscience, It was about the conscience of a person and the morality of a person, and sometimes how you have to be softened up in a way, and you have to be more sensitive to the spirit of what it is that you do and how you operate in life, right? That's the purpose of the chaos. The purpose of the chaos is to bring destruction to things that you do that are not in true alignment with your values and your morals, even when it comes to that relationship that you have with God, right? That you have with your power, that you have with the higher power. Knowing when you step or you move a certain way, how does it truly feel and sit with you when you do what it is that you do, right? Like I say, love is an action. God is love. And so how we treat one another is a reflection of the power that we have. And I kind of feel like I'm going off into a whole nother spiel, but I'm gonna leave that there because I don't want this video to be too long. But that's literally what I'm feeling like right now needs to be said. Like there may be something I know for me personally, like this completely resonates as far as like that grieving process of how I thought things would play out. And again, that control dynamic that spirit like put into my spirit of like, girl, like you can't get angry at certain people for not doing things the way that you want to do them. Like you can't get angry at people for the free will that they have. Like if people want to do things with you, then they do. If people don't, then they don't. You can't get angry at a person because of the choices that they make with the life that they want to live, right? You have to be okay with everybody having a free will, regardless of what we all came here, regardless of what we signed up for on a spiritual aspect. Like we have to understand that when we get here, we have ego trips. We sometimes get full of ourselves. We have these plans that we make. That was something else that came up last night between plans and purpose, right? And sometimes we have these plans that we have that don't align with the purpose of who we are. And that's it, y'all. Thank you.